Good morning. My name is Ehrgott. I'm director of the American River Conservancy. We're in front of the American River Nature Center, which is the corporate headquarters of the American River Conservancy. And don't let this humble facade fool you. There's a lot of smart people doing great conservation work in the American River watershed. This morning we're going to head on up to the headwaters of the American River. We're going to show you our 10,115 acre restoration project, and we're on our way, so sit tight and enjoy. So we're here in Georgetown, historic Georgetown, established in 1849 with the gold rush, and we're heading up the mountains into the American River headwaters. And this is a kind of last outpost, the last outposts before we start hitting the wilderness. Have the Georgetown Hotel on the right, which dates back to the early 1850s, and this is kind of a one-horse, one-block town. Hi, so we're now above Georgetown, just east of Georgetown and east of Stumpy Meadows Reservoir, which is Georgetown's water supply. And we're at the very western edge of the 100,000 acre King Fire that burned in 2014. The King Fire came over from Camino right through this area and then down into the Rubicon Canyon, which we'll be driving through. It's very stark, kind of a burned out canyon, which is kind of a contrast to our American River Headwaters project, which is big, beautiful green leafy forest. But this was just an amazing fire. It was wind driven and actually progressed 30 miles in one day. A very, very hot, fast moving fire. So about 100,000 acres of forest above the Georgetown Divide burned. And this is what we're hoping to avoid in the restoration of the forest that we have, is that we're going to try to thin it and open it up a little bit and keep those wind-driven fires from burning up the entire Sierra. So we're right on the edge of the Rubicon Canyon, and they've been logging this all summer long. These large burnt logs still have good usable wood inside, and they're cutting them down, taking them out, and taking them down to the SPI, the Sierra Pacific Industry Mills in Lincoln. So you see the log decks right there that are ready to be hauled out, and then you see these enormous piles of slash that will be burned after first snow. And literally there's just tens of thousands of acres of stands of burnt logs that are sort of waiting to go down to market, and it's a pretty amazing operation. There are a lot of loggers employed this summer. So we're now down in the bottom of the Rubicon Canyon, and if you could imagine a fire just zipping through here in a few minutes, it's virtually, that's what happened. There's a little green riparian area down here that probably became a refuge for the wildlife that somehow managed to work its way down the canyon and stay in the water, the riparian area, and survive the fire. But by and large, 100,000 acres burned in this fire, and a lot of it was in this Rubicon Canyon where it burned its hottest and fastest. Hi, welcome to the American River Headwaters Base Camp. This is above French Meadows Reservoir and right at the base of our restoration area up above. We've got tanks and pumps and electrical system and a shower house above the tented dining room and kitchen area, commissary. And this is housing anywhere from 4 to 6 people at this point in time. Autumn and Hannah are having lunch as we speak. And this has screening around the perimeter of it and keeps the rain out, and is actually a good place to have meals when we're here, morning and evening.
Hi, my name is Autumn Gromborg, and I'm the Forestry Restoration Coordinator for the American River Conservancy. And this is
Hannah Katie.
Hannah Katie is our Forestry Restoration Tech, and she's been working on this project for 6 weeks. We've been living and breathing up here. We've also been doing lots of various tasks, including supervising heavy equipment, building trail, and of course fending off bears at night. That's our #1 job at camp.
Don't forget tearing down cabin walls.
Yeah, taking out windows, stuff like that. I've worked on this project for about a year now, from writing permits to writing grants to manual labor. We do it all. And I can't wait to finish this project in the next 3 years. But that nice scenic view that you just witnessed is a trail reroute. This trail has been routed off of the main road for several reasons. 1, scenic value. 2, hydrology issues, and 3, slope. We want to have a nice level slope for walkers, hikers, runners, and of course equestrians. We also wanted to be able to fully decommission the roads and get those back to a more natural state, and we are better able to do that if we don't have to build trail back on them. So this is just a small section of trail that Hannah and I built. It took us about a day to build this section. But clearly it's worth it because you get a much better view than you would if you were back over that way.
So we're about mid-mountain right now. We're in mid-elevation, about 6,800 to 7,000 feet above sea level. We're standing at this point on a fully decommissioned road. This is a logging road, a private logging road, that on wilderness eligible acreage. So about 3,300 acres of the 10,000 we acquired we're hoping to append to the Granite Chief Wilderness. And that means removing the footprint of man, which means taking out the roads. So this is a decommissioned road. We have both a D6 Caterpillar tractor and a excavator. The Caterpillar kind of knocked down the berms on each side of the road, and then the excavator would draw in dirt to create a natural grade to the road, so that when it snows, the snow melt will percolate down in the surface of the ground and not develop any kind of velocity and take soil with it down into streams. So you can see it's rough. There's a lot of trees. Some of them are buried, some of them are above ground, and that's going to hold that snow in place. Meanwhile, we have red fir trees around us that are going to cast out seed in October and November. And so within a year, we'll have small fir and pine growing on the surface, and within 3 or 4 years it won't even look like some kind of lineal road system. So we are now going uphill to higher elevations, and we'll be able to see the excavators and the cats working on exactly what this road has been doing. So let's go out and take a look at it. So throughout the road decommissioning process, we have stream crossings, about 47 in all. And those stream crossings have culverts, corrugated steel pipe, that allow the water to pass underneath the road. So part of the decommissioning process is taking out those culverts and then restoring the slope of the creek, so pulling that dirt back to restore the slope gradient. And then preserving the natural prism of that stream as it passes downhill. So we'll have probably 60 or 70 culverts that we'll have to mash up, put on a truck, and carry it out to some recycling center at the end of the project. Right now we're just kind of storing the culverts in a variety of different locations where we can come back and pick them up when we're all done. So welcome to Red Star Ridge. We are about 7,800 feet in elevation. Right behind me is a road that will be decommissioned into a trail. This is such a beautiful, nice ridge, scenic ridge, that we're going to be taking this road out and putting a trail in. A little bit to the right over here is Red Star Ridge there, and the Tevis Cup and Western States Trail runs right along the top of that ridge on its way down to Auburn on its 100-mile course. And then behind me up above is Lyons Ridge, and that goes straight on up to Squaw Valley Ski Area that you can see if you pan over a little bit to the right beyond the rocks. You can see the very top ridge in the distance is the very western edge of Squaw Valley Ski Resort. So we're at about 7,400 feet at what is called the Hodgson Cabin site. This is section 29, which is one of the 5 wilderness eligible sections that will be appended to the Granite Chief Wilderness. Unfortunately, there was a cabin here, the Hodgson Cabin, that was built in 1947 that we had to take down. We did a historical significance report. It was not found to be historically significant. And the Forest Service did not have the money to either maintain or did they want the cabin on wilderness land. So we are in the process of taking down that cabin. An excavator came down and pulled it down, and now we're in the process of using an excavator to pick up the old building materials and putting it into a dump truck and taking it down the hill, loading it into a dumpster and having it hauled off. So I wish in some ways that we could have kept the historical cabin, but the Forest Service and just the policies of wilderness prevented us from keeping the cabin. We're at sort of the base of Lyons Ridge, probably about the 8,000 foot level right now. And this is a part of a decommissioned road that went through the top of a meadow. And we decided to move the Western States Tevis Cup Trail, which was actually on that road, upslope out of the meadow, and then restore that whole road to slope. So you can see obviously the disturbed path of the cat and the excavator. Rocks were pulled up to be in random places. Those big rocks were right at the edge, the lower edge of the road, and it looks like a straight line and contrived. So the excavator made that kind of random selection and placement of the boulders. And now there's just a gentle grade down slope, and so snow melt where I'm standing will just gravitate down slope into the stringer meadow. You see a line of alder trees, short alder trees. That's the beginning of a really nice meadow system. And that road in the past captured the snow melt and actually ran parallel to the road down to a culvert. Now the snow melt will gravitate in 100 little streamlets down into the meadow and keep that meadow well watered. So this is definitely an improvement to a part of the project. And up above the meadow, you can see back as the road goes into the forest, we decommissioned that road by pulling in brush and vegetation and rocks. And so within a short 7 months, 6 months with this spring, we will see more grasses, more forbs like the flowering plants that we see in this area, the mule ears, and all of that will blend in. So within 7 or 8 months, you're not going to be able to tell much difference between what has been graded and worked by the excavator and the meadow that are on each side. So I think this restoration came in really well, and I think the meadow is going to be repaired and restored and act as it should act, drawing water off the snow melt and holding it in the peat, and then releasing it slowly downstream into the fisheries below in Talbot Creek and the upper Middle Fork. So we're on the western edge of section 29, which is one of 5 sections that we believe are wilderness eligible. Behind me on the Sierra Nevada crest, you can see the very western edge of Squaw Valley Ski Resort area. And then behind me up in here, we have Lyons Ridge, which is about 8,500 feet, almost up to 9,000. And then again, that's Sierra Nevada crest. So our goal here is to take 3,300 acres of the 10,000 acres we acquired last August in 2015 and dedicate it to the wilderness in an area that actually is the area between the Granite Chief Wilderness and the North Fork Wild and Scenic area. So this new wilderness area, this 3,300 acres, would essentially connect the North Fork Wild and Scenic with Granite Chief Wilderness and the Desolation Wilderness immediately south. The Western States and Tevis Cup Trail is right down here in the wilderness, right adjacent to us. It's going to come right up and over this little pass and then proceed along the base of Lyons Ridge to Red Star Ridge as it does now. Right now it overlays a road. We've taken that road out and we are now constructing a trail parallel with that road, a single track trail which will be available for equestrian and pedestrian use. So this is a road to trail conversion, and it starts with D6 Caterpillar. Dan's our D6 driver right here, and Dan kind of knocks down the berms and roughs it up, and then it's followed by an excavator driven by Steve over here. What he's doing is he's pulling that dirt up to a point where there's solid ground. And where there's solid ground is really where the trail track is going to be. And in this particular case, the trail track will be high underneath the right tread. And so what he's doing is he's bringing dirt down a little bit, scooting it out, making it nice level, and then bringing dirt and organic material up so that the drainage comes across the trail and down the hill, which is the natural drainage. So it takes a little bit of time. Maybe they can do 1,200 feet, 1,400 feet in a day. But that kind of trail or road to trail conversion just plain old takes time. Decommissioning a road goes a lot faster because you're not having to worry about a sustainable trail tread. But we hope to be out of here in about 5 to 6 weeks with about another 12 miles of road out of here and about another 4 miles of new trail constructed. Hi, we're on Road 51 that we're decommissioning, and we're with David Burns, who's our geomorphologist and expert. We're very, very lucky to have him because he's got 35 years of experience taking out old logging roads and primarily the Pacific Northwest. And this is probably the biggest restoration project in the Sierra Nevada. We're taking out about 26 miles of road this year. And David's telling us how to do it. And so David, tell us how to do it.
Well, what we're looking at here is the road before it gets decommissioned. Typically we'll call it terraforming because decommissioning could just be putting up a cat track in Forest Service terms. However, we're doing a little more extensively. What we're looking at is the geomorphology, how the hill slopes evolve and through time, and where the landslides are and fluvial processes of the creeks. The hydrology. So what we're really wanting to do is reestablish the hydrology and remove the roads where it interferes with that hydrology. This section of road is actually quite flat, but I believe you probably went and seen some of the work that is on steeper terrain, or we just finished a really big crossing that was up the way that was actually quite gorgeous how it was done very well. So the biggest fills that we've taken out so far is about 2,000 yards of a stream crossing where a road went across a stream valley. All that dirt needs to be removed or it landslides down the canyon and interferes with the rest of the stream dynamics all the way through the system. We're about halfway through the process. We have 2 teams running, and the team consists of an excavator dozer combination. Down the road you saw the dozer prepping the work for the excavator. So what he does is take out the major bulk, and then the excavator comes through and fine tunes and kind of cleans it up a little bit, other than in big stream crossings where they're both needed at the same time. The team that was down here, Steve and Dan, they're going to continue building the Western States Trail. We're right now at the junction of part of where the Western States Trail is, and they'll continue the trail that turns into the Talbot Creek Trail all the way back down to where the camp is in Talbot Creek Campground, I presume in the long term. So they'll be doing that for another month to get down there, and then there's a couple of side roads that they'll do. In next week, the team 2, which is up on the hill, they'll be finishing up all the side roads off of this road to make this team come and have no other work other than focusing on the trail design. And they'll move over to the other side of the middle fork of the American River on the 68 road series.
So we really haven't talked about the acquisition of these 10,115 acres that we're restoring. It was done with a lot of help. The cost of the ground was about $1,000 an acre. a little over $10 million. And we received a lot of help from the state, $3.5 million from the State Wildlife Conservation Board, and $1.5 million from the State Resources Agency. So that was nearly half of the purchase price. And then we had all of the private sector help, which was enormous. It amounted to a little over 2,500 donors to the project. We had funds from a lot of different foundations, some of them which want to remain anonymous. And we had easily about 2,450 private donors that gave anywhere from $5 to $1 million. And for them, for everyone, we thank you very much. We think that this is a step forward in creating a demonstration project of how an upper watershed forest should be restored, including its wet meadow systems. But for the most part, again, we've acquired this land. We're going to spend the next 2 years or 3 years total restoring it. Some of it will go to the national forest and be included in the wilderness, and some of it will remain forest lands that are open to the public but under the ownership of the American River Conservancy. The restoration project is well underway, and we should be finished and try to get the wilderness lands donated and into wilderness by the end of the year. That is our hope. So stay tuned, and if you have any interest in coming up and staying with us at camp and volunteering some time in trail construction, we'd love to have you. And for agency folks, if you want to come up and take a look and take a tour, we'd love to have you as well. So I think that's it. Thank you.